Now, the Fourth Symphony is another of those ones that occasionally neglected. It seems to be, funny enough, it seems to be a favourite work of a lot of conductors. Perhaps.
The Fourth, yes.
I don't know why. Maybe you could explain. I mean, is it close to your heart? Do you...
Actually, you touch a point. It's the Symphony of Beethoven I conduct the most amongst all the ninth. The Fourth, since my youth time, was the most regularly conducted piece. And I have to say, when I restudied for this cycle, conducted probably speed-wise in the wrong way, because I did follow the so-called tradition, which means, for instance, to run directly into a trap on the second movement because of the famous cell of the second violin's rhythm. To be comfortable, definitely far too langsam, too slow. I think I learned to beat in 3 instead of in 6 the slow movement, which give you a pulse of 42 the quarter instead of 84 the 8. And I think this flotation of tempo in direction allowed this magnificent endless melody, the melody without ending of all first violins and later woodwinds, an incredible, if not irresistible, consequent logic of the melody itself. But this you can achieve only if you can get off the obsession of what Maestro Chailly used to call it, the Marie, obsession of the name Maria, given by this rhythmical cell of the second violins. That should be just an initial pulse, which then develop into a fantastic melody, accompanied by this rhythm underneath, though. Yeah.
And one gets the feeling with the Fourth Symphony that if the Fifth hadn't followed it, sort of people would have seen it actually as a much more substantial work. And it's just because of the juxtaposition with this obviously incredibly powerful work that somehow the Fourth has come off worse, perhaps.
He brought, without wishing, a shadow on the Fourth, which the Fourth should not bear, because the Fourth is an irresistible piece. Is a treasure of beauty from the first to the last movement. And for the orchestra is also a great fun to play, because the joyfulness of the finale of the Fourth is, of course, a proof of bravura, also collective bravura of the orchestra playing. Yeah. What I've been trying to achieve with the Fifth is the sense of unmissable destiny of non-playing rallentandos. There is never written any rit in the whole first movement. There is only the adagio in the cadenza bar of the oboe. That's all what it is. All the rest is in tempo unico, in one tempo. And this is what I've been trying to achieve, really. Not only the original speed, but the non-flexibility, the feeling of obsession and quasi condanna, to resist the temptation of indulging in ritenutos. It's very difficult to achieve, I can assure you. It might sound very easy, okay, then tempo unico, that's it. No. You can, whatever orchestra in the world you perform the Fifth, you will run in rationally and very often irrationally into the traps of unwritten rallentandos.
Is it a difficult work to start?
Very, very difficult technically. I remember making the summer course of conducting in Siena with the legendary Maestro Franco Ferrara. Franco Ferrara's school was focusing almost every day on show me please the start of the Fifth. And he was always firm, saying, remember, it's like the rimbalzo di una palla, the pulse of a ball, which you throw on the floor. When you see the beat, touching the floor up and down again, the natural speed distance that you see from the jump of the ball should be the clear upbeat of the right hand of the conductor, to give the pulse of the beginning of the Fifth. Very difficult to achieve, frankly. And at the end of the first movement, bar 473, 474, the first horn brings the cell of sol, 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 mi, sol, 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 mi, and twice as low. So again, you have a sort of example that if your tempo choice is not right, by the time that famous 473, the enlarged thema comes back, that is a focus to prove whether the choice of tempo right or wrong is.
Now the sixth, obviously, is a completely different animal. This is the Pastoral Symphony, a rare example of program music in a big symphony, perhaps the first example on that sort of scale. I mean, do you see that as a kind of just a sort of intake of breath before the seventh, or is it just a kind of intermezzo or an entr'acte on the way through the cycle, or do you think it's a more substantial work?
Very substantial and very, very specific, descriptive, of course. You have to tell a story from the beginning of the first movement. The danger, again, is to indulge on the slow movement, which the basic tempo should be, I think, 50 at the quarter. I remember studying the Mengelberg scores, where he even altered the original rhythm of the ta-ta-ti-ta-ta-ta. Instead of 12/8, he changed it into 4 quarter beats. He altered the tempo to be even more bright sounding. But I think the horizontal line of this slow movement should not tempt the conductor to self-indulge in the beauty of the melodies and to keep again this watery floating rhythm of 12/8 music into something which will be more and more foreseeable afterwards in the next 5-10 pages of the score.
It seems to be one of those works also that's underlined by the sense of walking. There seems to be a sort of pulse that runs throughout the work.
I think so.
Funnily enough, as conductors get older and maybe walk a little slower, or they don't, they're not rushing anywhere in particular, they seem to all of a sudden they kind of grow into the Pastoral Symphony, and then it's just like ping, it's happened.
That's very true. Yes, I remember though some comments of amusement in Leipzig from the public because of the choice of tempi of the slow movement and the finale, the last part, after the storm, when there is a roof of the horn. And again, I mean, in the tempo of Beethoven, it should not be a sort of auto-celebrativo character, but it should be a coda to the piece, when possible, without pompous attitude. I mean, even the last bar is conceived always with a huge rallentando, never conceived by Beethoven, and makes it a almost bombastic ending, which I think is not in the spirit. The Pastoral Symphony is the triumph of simplicity to my eyes. From the first to the last bar, complicated, difficult, but not pretentious, simple. And we have been trying to achieve that.